President Trump is ending the speculation. The president announcing plans to officially nominate Wall Street veteran, former Treasury official Randall Quarles as the Federal Reserve's vice chairman for bank supervision. The pick marks the first official nomination for the post, created by the 2010 Dodd-Frank law. In the position, Quarles would also weigh in on monetary policy as one of 7 members of the Fed's Board of Governors, which is currently short-staffed with only 4 members. Joining us right now, Export-Import Bank Senior Vice President, Chief Strategy Officer, and from a Trump transition team member, Anthony Scaramucci. Anthony, good to see you.
Jason, you're in my seat. Get out of my seat, Jason.
That was my seat.
No, that was your seat.
Good to have you back.
He pushed the 2 Long Island guys off to the left.
You're waiting on confirmation from the Senate. Tell us where you are in this process right now.
Well, I'm right. I guess what I'm allowed to say is that I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at the XM Bank. So the other job that people have talked about is not official, so I can't really talk about that. But I could argue with Jason about the XM Bank and the benefits and the detriments of the XM Bank.
Sorry, I voted against it. I like you, but I'm glad we created a job.
Trying to vote me out of a job.
Why did you vote against it? Why did you vote against it, Jason?
Look, the XM Bank, in principle, just disagree with it. I think the market should be able to operate. I don't think they need a propping up by the federal government. We can't manage our own affairs as it is. And, I didn't see it helping the small organizations that I think it purports to do.
Well, here's what I would say. I've been there for 3 weeks. It's a great team. There's 400 people there. They certainly punch over their weight. As Jason knows, they make money for the federal government off the spread in terms of their lending. But it'll really be up to the president to make the decision of where he wants to go directionally with the bank. So I sort of have to reserve, directionally where we're going to go. But I think the good news is that we'll present the president in the next couple of months with a plan of what we think makes sense to do with the bank.
I think
we'll see.
The question for both of you is, should the United States be helping its exporters and its companies, large or small, when so many other countries, like the Chinese, for one, the world's 2nd largest economy, invest so much in propping up their companies? Is it an unlevel playing field, and should an institution like the XM Bank be out there trying to level it?
Well, again, we had a vote. I came up on the short end of it, but if you talk to the Delta Airlines of the world, they believe that by propping up Boeing, who is selling planes overseas, we were hurting our own domestic airline industry. So there are some trade-offs there that we got to be very, very careful.
2 ways to look at it.
I mean, look, here's what I would say. I mean, it's sort of like what Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face. And so what I worry about in Washington, and I've only been there for 3 weeks working, is that we got to be very careful about the ideological struggle that goes on in Washington, and we have to inject a lot of pragmatism and common sense. And I think one of the great things about the president, he's a very common sense oriented guy, and now that he's in the seat, I think he's starting to evolve his thinking about things like the XM Bank and other things related to the economy and our national security.
I want to ask you about obstructionism, and because as you wait on confirmation from the Senate, but first, get your take on the Treasury official nominee, Randall Quarles, as the Federal Reserve's regulatory chief. Dan Tarullo was somebody that was always needling the banks, and the oversight the banks felt was too much. Your thoughts on Quarles?
Well, I love Randy. I think he's a great guy. I knew him from Carlisle. I've been on panels with him. My guess is that Randy sits in that middle of the common sense area, Maria, where I think we all recognize that banks need some level of regulation, but we've got to be super careful that we don't over-regulate the banks, because when you over-regulate the banks, you crimp lending. And when you crimp lending, it hurts small businesses and it hurts the growth of the economy.
Can I make one point on Quarles? This is an area where the president deserves credit. President Obama went 6 years ignoring his own law, the Dodd-Frank law, never nominated an individual to fill that seat for vice chair of supervision, just completely ignored it, let Dan Tarullo do it without confirmation. Right. The president is nominating someone. He's got to stand up for confirmation to do the job he was assigned to do.
And a qualified guy, a guy that really understands the business and the industry.
Jason,
Randy Quarles is actually from Utah. I actually know him and his family pretty well. Orrin Hatch, chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, I'm sure played a very key role in this and will help usher him through to get his confirmation done.
So you think this is a good move?
Guy.
Oh, yeah. He's got a great background in the Treasury already. Just an amazing family, good banking background.
Jason, how long did you spend in Washington?
8.5 years.
So can you explain to us why it's so difficult to get things done? I mean, you know, every morning we're here at the table, we're talking about health care, we're talking about tax reform, and ultimately, it always goes to the idea that it's not just Democrats fighting with Republicans, it's Republicans fighting with one another. What is going on? I mean, do you think your former colleagues, your colleagues, understand the ramifications of if they don't get these big things done, they're going to lose seats next year and maybe lead to an impeachment of the president as well?
Well, I don't think it'll lead to an impeachment. I think that's
what the Dems want. You know, that's what the Dems want.
They've wanted that since before the president was even sworn in. So, but that's just simply not going to happen. You have to get to a 2/3 majority in order to do that. There's nothing that would warrant that, and we should. It just shudder at even the discussion of it. I just think it's absolutely wrong. Nevertheless, Republicans, when we got the House, we said, hey, look, we can play defense. When we had the Senate, we said we could play a little offense. And then the promise to the American people is you have the House and Senate and the presidency and you actually get things done. They're on the clock. Two big things. Like I said, health care and tax reform, those are the things that have to happen in 2017.
Will it happen?
Didn't the founders set up a system that was meant to make it difficult to get things done? There's a lot of competing constituencies, a lot of people with different ideas, and it's hard to sort them all out.
But you could say that about the Democrats, too, but that's just not the case, because when the Democrats want to get something done, they all get on the same page.
Right. The untold story, the one that has never been really revealed, is when they got rid of earmarks, they got rid of the political candy that they used to entice members to come along on bills that they didn't want to vote for. And that, they don't have the political candy anymore. I would argue that's actually better for the economy, it's better for the country, but it does require debate, and what's terribly frustrating to me is we don't actually vote. I mean, the House passed the health care bill. Why didn't the Senate vote on that?
She's a lot easier on you than she was on John Podesta, though. I got to give her credit here. Okay? It's going
why didn't the Senate vote on it?
I'm the first time here.
I
don't know. I mean, you have to get 50 members to get on the same page, and we can actually solve this health care problem.
I mean, they'll reject it if they vote on the House bill, won't they?
But vote on it. That's the thing. It's too easy for a senator to say, I'm out on this one. Instead, put a vote up. You know, a lot of good legislation that has passed previously has come up, failed, and they make the necessary tweaks in order to get it over the finish.